Can this fragrance serve as a suitable alternative to Profumo? Let's find out. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So make sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future videos, and also be sure to check me out over on my Instagram page. But today we are reviewing the newest Acqua Di Gio, and this is of course the Parfum, which if you don't already know is the replacement of the beloved Profumo, which is loved by so many people, including myself. It is by far my favorite flanker. I do own a bottle right here, which is one of the older bottles with the magnetic cap. Love this fragrance so much. And when I did hear about that fragrance being discontinued, which was years ago actually, if you catch my first impression and unboxing of Profumo, in the thumbnail I actually put discontinued with a question mark. So I knew about the rumors probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And in my head I was like, there's no way they're going to discontinue probably one of the most popular fragrances within their lineup. Maybe outside of the original, but that one is, in my opinion, pretty outdated now. And I think Profumo was kind of the replacement of the original for being very popular. So I didn't know what Giorgio Armani was up to, but then of course this year they have released the Parfum, which is very, very similar to Profumo with the same notes. But of course, we'll talk a little bit more about that, if they are similar and what are the differences, etc., in the note breakdown a little bit later. But before we do, let's go over some information. Now, the Parfum was of course launched this year at the time of the recording, which is 2023. As far as the retail prices on the two size they come in, which is 75 ml for $160, which I have in hand, or you can get the big boy, the 125 ml for $198, guys. Now let's just let that sink in on how expensive that is for a designer fragrance, especially in Acqua Di Gio. Now that just blows my mind, guys. I can't believe how expensive these fragrances are getting nowadays. I mean, $200 retail for 125 ml bottle of fragrance that you go into Macy's and pick up. That is getting close into niche category. And to be honest with you, I think Giorgio Armani kind of messed up with the whole marketing behind this. Even though I get what they're doing, they have the Acqua Di Gio, which is an EDT. They came out with Acqua Di Gio Eau de Parfum, and then of course they want Acqua Di Gio Parfum, so it kind of makes the lineup a little bit more clear to the average person. But honestly, I think what they should have done was keep Profumo and then come out with an Acqua Di Gio Elixir, which this should have been. Obviously switch up the DNA and stuff, have Profumo, which is very similar to this, and just come out with a new Acqua Di Gio flanker called Elixir for that $200 price tag. So now thinking about it, I know like Sauvage Elixir retails for $250 for the 100 ml, so at least it's a little bit cheaper than that. But for the concentration, of course, it is an extrait de parfum, just like the original Profumo, which I always said is actually an extrait de parfum because that's what it says on the box and stuff like that, Parfum. And a lot of people thought that was an EDP, but it wasn't. But this is the same, highest concentration when it comes to perfume oils. Now, when it comes to the perfumer, who is actually the nose behind all of the Acqua Di Gios and its flankers, is the man himself, Alberto Morillas, one of the most beloved, well-known perfumers in the entire industry, and he never disappoints, most of the time at least. With all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you get with the new Parfum now. Now take a look at the box, which I absolutely hate the presentation with the box, guys. This looks like a tester box. I cannot stand it. Of course, you have the white paper box with the gray kind of logos and the Parfum right there. 75 ml, 2.5 ounce bottle. These are actually refillable now, which is nice. Of course, you have some information on the bottom as well. On the side, it shows how to refill your bottle. On the back, you will have your barcode, and I'm assuming the batch code is right there kind of stamped in to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. And then you have the Acqua Di Gio or Giorgio Armani logo on the top. Now let's look at the bottle now. All right, looking at the bottle, it's not much different from my expectations when looking at that box, guys. Very much disappointed in this presentation. Of course, you have this matte finish that kind of has a gradient to clear glass on the bottom. You have Parfum right there. On top, you have the Giorgio Armani logo. On the bottom, you do have your sticker with your batch code as well. Nothing on the back. When you take the cap off, you do have the Giorgio Armani logo on top, which is a new touch. Nothing inside of the cap, but guys, this is a click cap now, and it's not magnetic like the old Profumo was, at least, which I love that touch. And it also used to have a nice silver base. So they basically raise the prices and lower the quality on the box and the bottle presentation, which I'm not a fan of. In the top, you have marine notes and bergamot. In the mid, you have geranium, clary sage, and rosemary. And in the base, you have frankincense and patchouli, and this will be classified as a fresh aquatic. So let's spray this and test out the atomizer of the new Parfum. Not the best atomizers, especially compared to the competition like Dior and stuff. So yeah, it's not the worst atomizers, but it's not pressurized or anything. So let's remind myself of Parfum and see if it actually reminds me of the original Profumo. So right off the bat, if you are somewhat familiar with Profumo or own a bottle of Profumo and you spray this one at home or in the department store, immediately you will be reminded of that scent profile without a doubt. It absolutely smells like Profumo, but to be honest with you guys, the upside about this new flanker is it actually comes across a little bit more refined than Profumo. Whereas in my experience, the old Profumo was a little bit sharp and piercing. This one, they did kind of put some nice touches and rounded off the edges in this flanker. But if you aren't familiar with the scent profile, in the opening, it does come across like a nice kind of crisp sea breeze. And obviously that's coming from the marine notes and that bergamot, very crisp bergamot, very zesty, a little bit salty from the marine notes, but not too much where it starts to smell like maybe wet dog or something. Because that's usually the route those notes go towards, which I'm usually not a fan of, but the way it's done in here, I actually really like it. To me, it literally smells like walking on the beach by the ocean. It's very windy outside. It's a lot of waves going on. You're getting the kind of the splash of the salt water coming up on you. That's the vibe the opening gets. It's very invigorating. And then once you start making your way into the mid is where it becomes very aromatic and herbal from, of course, the clary sage and rosemary. But to me, it's primarily that rosemary that stands out. Usually, I'm not the biggest fan of sage in fragrances. It's probably my least favorite aromatic note. But luckily, it's more of like a supportive note to that rosemary. There is a little bit of that geranium as well, which kind of gives it a floral edge. But just all in all, with the aromatic qualities, that kind of bergamot crisp opening, it does give it this nice kind of masculine tone to it. And just all in all, a very well done scent profile. So I'm kind of happy they didn't do away with the whole Profumo DNA and kind of moved it over to Parfum, because if it's not broke, why fix it, right? And finally, once we make our way into the base of the new Parfum, is where it becomes very resinous, warming, and slightly smoky, of course, from that frankincense, and earthy from the patchouli. But to be honest with you, this is another difference from the Profumo to the Parfum, is this one is more refined, it's more well-rounded, it has less edges to it, but the downside, at least in my opinion, it actually might be an upside to a lot of people, it's a little bit less smoky from that incense compared to Profumo. If you know me, you watch my reviews regularly, you know I absolutely love smoky fragrances, I love resins, I love incense, of course. So even though this one is a little bit less smoky, which is a downside to me, a lot of people don't like smoky fragrances, so you might actually prefer the new Parfum over the old Profumo if you want more refinement, more luxurious kind of smelling with a little bit less of that smoke. But you are still going to get that very earthy kind of green patchouli base as well. That might be why frankincense is listed rather than incense, because maybe the old one had incense in it, but this one uses a nice kind of warming resinous frankincense instead. Which, if you don't know, frankincense is just the resin before it's actually burnt and it turns into incense, of course. So that might be what's going on here. Now, do I find this redundant if you're watching this and you already own Profumo to go out and buy this? I would say absolutely, it's very much redundant, especially at the price. If you have Profumo, wear that one, enjoy it. You don't need to go out and get the new Parfum, unless you are a collector like myself and you don't want to go through Profumo because it's discontinued and it's gonna rise in prices a few years from now like crazy, and say it's like your signature scent or something like that, then maybe go buy the new Parfum and wear this one rather than Profumo and keep that as a collector's item. Or if you like Profumo but you kind of not the biggest fan of the smoky aspect of it, you will absolutely probably enjoy the new Parfum a little bit more as well. So just think about that before you go out and actually purchase a bottle of this stuff. Now let's talk about the best seasons to wear the new Parfum. For me personally, guys, I think this is more suited for the spring, summer, of course, but can also be pulled off in the fall because of that earthiness, the aromatics, and of course a slight smoky resin touches as well. Not so much in the winter because of how aquatic it is. I just don't think it really suits the winter time the best. It will be a little bit out of place, even though this is probably the most versatile when it comes to the Acqua Di Gio lineup. So you could still possibly get away in the colder months or just wearing it all year round, especially if you don't live somewhere where it has like very, very cold winters, you will be perfect. But for me personally, I'm gonna stick to the spring, summer, and fall time. Now for occasions, this is where it's very versatile as well. You can wear this one dressed down in like shorts, a hoodie, a t-shirt, wearing a ball cap, whatever. But it can also be worn dressed up in like a suit, a button up, or even a tuxedo if you're going to a wedding or a gala. Somewhere you have to dress up. This one will suit the occasion perfectly, both dressed down and dressed up, which I always love when a fragrance can do that. So for gender and age groups of the Acqua Di Gio Parfum, guys, to me, this is a very masculine leaning fragrance. There's nothing feminine about this by any means, guys. When you think of Acqua Di Gio, you think of masculine cologne. That's like the first thing that comes to the majority of people's minds, especially when you smell it. And the new Parfum is no different. Of course, you have the bergamot, you have the aromatic qualities, you have the patchouli, and that slightly smoky incense note. I just could not see a girl pulling this one off, or a girl that would at least get my attention if she was wearing this. I would kind of like do a double take, like what in the world, why is she wearing that? That's the kind of vibe this gives off. But at the end of the day, if you are a girl watching this, you like more masculine leaning fragrances, you could wear it. Of course, you can wear whatever you want, whenever you want, but yeah, just to me, very masculine leaning. Now, for age groups, guys, this is where it's versatile as well. Both a youthful teenager can wear this one, and also a very mature kind of like 30s, 40s and up can also pull it off. It just works, like I said, most seasons, all occasions, and both age groups. So if you're watching this, you are younger, you kind of want like a nice smelling cologne for school or something, absolutely you can wear this one. But if you're also an older gentleman and you want something that's a little bit more refined and luxurious smelling, in the designer realm, you can absolutely pull this one off as well. So don't even hesitate about it. Now, finally wrapping things off, talking on the performance side of things, which a lot of you guys care about. You want to know, does a new Parfum perform? Does it project? Does it have the longevity? Does it have a good sillage? And guys, do not worry about it. This does wear like a Parfum should, guys. You get the longevity. From me, from my testing on skin even, I got around 10 hours of very decent longevity where I can smell my arm and still like absolutely detect it very, very well. Where a lot of fragrances start to come to like close to a skin scent after maybe around 5 hours or so. This one is not the case. It will easily get you through an entire work shift without any problems whatsoever. So spray this one in the morning, and you will know you will be good and set all the way up until maybe close to the evening time. And for the projection as well, a lot of times the higher the perfume oils in a fragrance, the less it projects, and the lower the concentration, the more it projects. So for instance, like an eau de cologne or an eau de toilette may project like very, very heavy for an hour or possibly 2 hours, but then come to like a skin scent very, very soon after that. Whereas most of the time parfums will last like 10 hours, but only project heavy for like the first hour or so. This one though has a good kind of in-between balance where you get the 10 hours of longevity on skin, but the projection does actually maybe last up to around 2 hours or so, like heavy. I mean like over 6 feet of distance, especially when you're just like standing still, which projection is. If you're like stand still, projection means how far the fragrance is projecting off your skin. Sillage is when you're walking around and people are getting like whiffs in the wind and stuff like that. The sillage is fantastic as well. So when you're walking, people behind you, maybe like a good distance behind you, will still detect the new Parfum. So the performance is there, the scent profile is there, the versatility is there. This is just all in all a well-rounded designer fragrance that will suit everybody's needs. But of course you had to pay a pretty penny if you want to actually get a bottle of this, at least at retail. But that's gonna do it for my review of the new Acqua Di Gio Parfum. Let me know down below if you actually had the chance to try this one, how you think it compares to the old Profumo, or if you're thinking about going out and getting a bottle. Let's just discuss that down in the comments below. But besides that, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and of course, I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.